How's it going, guys? It has been about a month now since I've last updated this grow that I'm doing between the HLG 65 and the Viparspectra 300 watt light. I have a 2x2 of space dedicated for each light, and I've got a little blocker in the middle. And we're checking to see how these tomatoes do against one another with the two different lights. So this, what you're looking at now, is week 20, and things are just starting to change. As you can see on the left, on the Viper plant, there are some pretty dark yellow tomatoes that are about ready to eat. Yellow is the name of the game for these tomatoes. They are the golden sunrise, not golden shower, but they're the golden sunrise tomatoes. And the HLG 65 are just starting to ripen on the right. If we cut ahead a couple days, this is the 8th of May. Now we have a little more yellowing happening on the HLG side, and then the Viper continues to produce these nice ripe tomatoes, so they're going to be the first off the plants for sure. I'll just speed this up a little bit just so you can see a little bit quicker what's going on. On the HLG 65 side, there's a whole bunch of little clusters of smaller tomatoes, and I'm hoping that these things do pick up size and become about the same size as the ones that you see in the center. And some of them are ready to eat. Some of these guys are getting a little bit soft, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with them. I think the problem is, not only do I want to kind of document how much fruit each of these plants are producing, but I also want to eat them, and my wife is going to give me shit if I just pluck them all and weigh them and then toss them, so I think what I'm going to do is just do a running total. I'm going to weigh them as I pull them off and keep a tally going for each plant just to see, when I eventually stop, we'll see where each of these things are at for total weight as I pluck them and enjoy these things. Moving on to the heartbreakers, which are these little red heart-shaped tomatoes in the back. This is the Viper side, which is doing all right, but if you look at the HLG side, there are significantly more of these little green tomatoes on here than the other one. So again, this is not a super scientific experiment by any means, and take these results with a grain of salt or shaker of salt or whatever, but I'm trying to keep the variables the same, and I'm not going to make any sweeping generalizations, but the plant on the right certainly has more tomatoes than the one on the left, and I will leave it at that. The yellow ones are definitely a lot closer. It's tough to tell which is going to produce more for the golden sunrise tomatoes, but even though those little guys in the back are so neglected, they're still both doing pretty well. There's just one that is doing better than the other. After I got my footage of each of the plants, I decided I would start pulling tomatoes off because these ones on the Viparspectra side especially looked so ripe and juicy, and I really didn't want them to get overripe and waste them. And I ended up getting a nice little bowl full of them. Nothing crazy, but enough for a sandwich and a nice little salad. And I got a total of 235 grams off of the Viparspectra side. On the HLG side, there wasn't quite as many tomatoes that were ready to be picked, but I wanted to get what I could. And I ended up with about 130 grams, which is a little over half of what the Viper produced. Not bad, right? It was enough to bolster my collection so that I could give some of these tomatoes away to some of my family members. What a strange fucking gift that would be, hey? Here's a handful of these little tomatoes, but they're from my basement, so, don't worry about it. It's just a normal gift, right? This footage you're looking at now was taken about 4 days later in the week when I had a whole bunch of more tomatoes that were ready to be picked. And I did another harvest. This time the Viper produced about 400 grams, so almost a pound worth of ripe tomatoes, whereas the HLG did about 300 grams this time. So the Viparspectra is definitely solidly in the lead right now. However, I think the HLG will come on strong towards the end because it's got a lot of little green tomatoes that are waiting to fatten up and ripen up, so we'll see what happens. And I know how ridiculous this is, pulling these tomatoes off and weighing them on a scale. I mean, if I couldn't convince my friends before that I wasn't growing weed, then I don't think I ever will if they see this video. But this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to have my tomatoes and eat them too. And we'll just keep on trucking and eating salads and eating sandwiches. I don't think I'm going to bother actually keeping count of the little guys because I just like to pop them off and eat them, just snack as I go. But as you can see, there is quite a bit of progress that's been made on these ones too. Lots of red ones on the HLG side and a few red ones on the Viper side. So these are coming along as well. Now, I'll leave you with the grand totals for each of the golden sunrise plants, and I'll keep you posted on this as best I can. See you guys next time.